And on the line with us is Tish O'Dell, the Ohio organizer and Ohio Community Rights of the OHCRN, Ohio Community Rights Network, and state coordinator with the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, CELDEF. The website is celdef.org, CELDF.org. And a great new movie out, We the People 2.0. It's the website is wethepeople2.film. And, of course, celdef.org. Tish, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. Oh, and I should say, I think, is this your Twitter account, M-A-D-I-O-N, Mom?
Oh, probably from Maddie on Mom.
Yeah, Maddie on Mom. Okay. So tell us about the movie, We the People 2.0.
Well, my role in it actually is telling the story of my community, which is Broadview Heights, and the movie actually goes to several communities throughout the United States, and it starts out telling the people's stories in each of these communities. In Pennsylvania, comes to Ohio here in Broadview Heights, and then goes on to Oregon. And, you know, how the people tried to protect themselves from some environmental harm or project coming in to their community, and the realization that the way the system's set up, they couldn't stop this harm. They had no power to stop it. And that's what we call the community rights movement. And it's the realization people get. They start going through the system trying to stop the harm and realize they can't, and realize the power actually lies within themselves. Yeah. And that we as people have the power to pass laws. And that's why we call them community bills of rights.
So, Tish, tell us the story of your community. What exactly happened that provoked, to start out with, what provoked this response from you and your friends, and then what happened when you engaged in it?
Right. Broadview Heights, it's just a suburban community. It's 11 miles south of Cleveland, just to give you some idea where we're at. Mm-hmm. We have no industry in the community. And we started noticing about 2008, 2009, a lot of drilling started going on in our suburban community. A lot of the homes are on quarter-acre, half-acre lots. Didn't think too much of it because even my parents were approached and were kind of forced into signing a lease. And at the time, you know, the question you ask is it safe? And, of course, people asked that, and they all said, sure, the state approved it. It's safe. They wouldn't let it go in if it wasn't. Well, then,
so is this for fracking?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. Forgive my interruption.
Oil and gas. Yep. And at the time, you know, they doing it next to schools, next to churches, next to playgrounds. Well, the more you put in, our community is only 13 square miles, and we currently have 90 wells. So we were averaging 10 to 15 wells going in a year, and we all know the more you put in, then you increase the chance of accidents happening. Well, that's what started happening. We started having a spill. There was 200 gallons, which, you know, doesn't seem like a lot, but in a small community it is, that spilled into a creek going behind people's houses. We had a lady who there was black oil coming up through her backyard. We had home evacuations on school nights because then people started being aware and they'd get nervous. They'd smell odd smells, and the fire department would come and evacuate the homes. So, you know, we started going, wait a minute, something's not right here. We were told it was safe. There was nothing wrong. Something's wrong here. And that led us to go into the process, which is told in the movie. Our story's told in the movie. And in the end, what we realize is that we don't just have a fracking problem. We have a democracy problem here.
Right. And the nature of your democracy problem was what?
Well, one, that we have a state government that passed, a state legislature that passed a law preempting us in local communities from saying, no, we don't want this in our communities.
Right. So you had a state government. This is a Republican-run state, but I don't think this is an entirely partisan issue. So you had a state government that said, we're going to prioritize the interests of the fossil fuel and fracking industry over that of any community in our state. And so they passed a law saying individual communities may not say no to the frackers. And how did you take that on?
Well, it was funny. I thought, well, you know, the locals are telling us their hands are tied and they can't do anything. So what I taught, and I believed, you know, that our democracy, you run for office. And so that's what I did very naively. I ran for mayor of the community thinking, well, I can stop the drilling that way. Well, I learned a lot of hard lessons, you know, but it was good. It was all good practice.
Did you become mayor?
Pardon?
Did you become the mayor?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have enough of a war chest already
Yeah.
stored up. But what happened is I was doing a campaign event and actually showing the movie Gasland, and someone at the end of the movie stood up and said, "Have you ever heard of cell death?" And I was like, "No, who's cell death?" So, of course, I went home and Googled what they were, and I thought, well, you know what? We've tried everything else, going to the regulatory agencies, the state, the local governments. What have I got to lose? So me and a couple of other moms, we looked them up, contacted them, and it was actually Ben Price from Cell Deaf, and he talked to us at length, met with us, and helped us draft our law. He made us realize that, wait a minute, we the people have the right to be legislators in our communities. And in Ohio, we actually have the right to initiative, to propose laws, by initiative, get enough signatures, and put it on the ballot. And so that's what we did in 2012, and it passed by 67% of the vote.
Now, this was a local law that said no to the fracking companies in defiance of the state law. Is that right?
Correct, and we based it on rights because we said we the people have the right to clean air, we have the right to clean water, to local self-government.
Right.
And we said because this industry and these projects that are coming in are going to violate our rights to clean air and clean water, we have the right to say no.
So what happened when that passed? Now you've got a city with a law and a state with a law, and these laws are in opposition to each other. Where did that end up?
Right, in court, of course.
Uh-huh.
Of course, and it was two drillers that sued Broadview Heights, and at first they sued because they just wanted the courts to overturn our law, which the court obliged and did. And then we, the people, we filed a class action lawsuit against the state, against the governor, against the Oil and Gas Association, all the bad guys in this scenario, I guess, and took that to court. And we wanted to, claiming we have the right to stop this. And, of course, the judge overturned that. We appealed that. So this all went on. The movie takes us up. We're in the middle of the lawsuits, I think. And so the end of the story, if you watch the movie and you don't know, is that we've wound up losing in the appeal level of the courts here. But what's interesting about that, we haven't had one new well drilled in Broadview Heights since we passed our law.
Right. So apparently, I mean, even though you didn't succeed, in quotes, you succeeded. I mean, you woke up a community, you informed people of their rights, you demonstrated to them how fragile democracy is and how easily it's co-opted by the oligarchs, in this case of the fossil fuel industry. Right. And that seems like a pretty good start. I mean, CellDef has been doing this for years with communities all over the country. And I love the work that they're doing, Thomas Lindsay and the whole bunch. This Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, CELDF.org. If you're unfamiliar with it, get over to their website and check it out.
One of the other things in Ohio, what's really interesting is at the time, I mean, I did not, this is all a learning process because it's so new to us. It's a different way of looking and thinking about the problem and the solutions. We don't always think that it's our government that's the problem when we get into this. We think it's a pipeline or it's a fracking well or it's, GMO seeds or whatever the, minimum wage. But that's really not what the issue is. The issue is that we have this democracy problem underlying all those symptoms. And in Ohio, they obviously hoped that by defeating Broadview Heights, because in 2012 we were the first community to pass one by initiative, by the people voting. There was another community where their council passed one the same year. And what's interesting is I know, taking it through the courts, what they try to do is they want to make sure no one else tries the same approach. And what it didn't do, though, which I'm happy about, is that exact thing. We've, since 2012, now had over 34 attempts by various communities throughout Ohio to try and pass bills of rights. Some of them have succeeded and passed. Some, the industry has fought like hell to make sure they got defeated. And now with the state, they've progressed even more because at each defeat, they figure the people will go away. This is a lot of work for the people to get a law passed. And it hasn't had that effect. More and more has come out. So now in December of 2016, what the state legislature did is they passed a law, added it, threw it in a Christmas tree amendment type thing. It was a foreclosure bill, and they actually targeted people's initiative, the right to initiative, and said that now local boards of elections can keep initiatives by the people off the ballot if they feel, in their opinion, it's illegal or unconstitutional.
Wow. That's amazing. So we're talking with Tish O'Dell, the Ohio organizer with CELDEF. CELDEF.org is the website. We the People #2, We the People 2.film is the We the People movie. Tish, tell us how people can watch the movie.
They can watch it. There's so many different ways. It's actually going to be, I don't have the schedule, but if you go to our website on Link TV, this Dish and Direct TV, it's the next few days, over the next few weeks. I think there's several showings. So if you go to the CELDEF website, you can look that up. Okay. You can purchase the movie. It's on Hulu. It's on Amazon.com. So there's a lot of different ways. You can schedule a showing in your own community, and that's all on the website.
Great stuff. Great stuff. It's like a renewal of democracy. What a novel idea. You're a real hero here, Tish. Thanks so much for what you're doing, and thanks for coming on the program to tell us about it.
Thank you so much, Tom. And the people are the heroes.
Yeah, amen. Good talking with you. The organization CELDEF, CELDF, as in Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, CELDF.org. We the People #2.film is the movie. And check it out. We'll be back.